never slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you
Christmas night, December 25th, around 10:30 p.m. While most families were ending the holiday with leftovers, laughter, and quiet goodbyes, police lights began cutting through the darkness at an apartment complex in Lauderhill, Florida. What started as a normal Christmas night was about to turn deadly. At approximately 10:30 p.m., officers were dispatched to reports of gunfire at the Sunny Lake Apartments. By the time they arrived, 36-year-old Octavia Stewart was lying in the street, suffering from gunshot wounds. Paramedics tried to help, but it was already too late. She was pronounced dead at the scene. According to investigators, the shooting did not come out of nowhere. Earlier that night, a heated argument had broken out between neighbors. Voices were raised. Tempers flared. What began as a verbal dispute quickly escalated, moving from words to threats, and then to something far more permanent. Witnesses later told police the confrontation had been building, minute by minute, until a gun was pulled and shots rang out. Surveillance cameras in the area captured parts of the encounter, showing just how quickly the situation spiraled out of control. Within moments, a Christmas celebration turned into a crime scene. Yellow tape replaced holiday lights. The sound of sirens replaced music. Police immediately began locking down the area, questioning witnesses, and reviewing footage to piece together exactly what happened in the final moments of Octavia Stewart's life. Authorities stated there was no ongoing threat to the public, but questions remained unanswered. Who fired the fatal shots? What pushed the argument past the point of no return? And could this tragedy have been prevented? This is a story of how one Christmas night ended in violence, and how a neighborhood argument turned into a fatal encounter that would change multiple lives forever. Hello, welcome to Spotlight Crime, where every case holds a hidden truth. Here, we bring you real-life true crime stories, from shocking murders and mysterious disappearances to dark relationship crimes and investigations that leave more questions than answers. Subscribe and turn on notifications for intense weekly uploads that shine a light into the darkest corners of human behavior. Now, let's begin. December 25th, 10:30 p.m., Sunny Lake Apartments, Lauderhill, Florida. It was a typical Christmas night in Lauderhill. Residents were winding down, finishing up holiday meals, checking on family, and preparing for the quiet of late evening. The streets were calm, the driveways lined with parked cars, and the occasional glow of holiday lights reflected in windows. In most neighborhoods, this is the hour when the day settles into a soft, predictable rhythm. But at Sunny Lake Apartments, that rhythm was shattered. Loud noises pierced the night, startling residents who initially assumed there were fireworks or a car backfiring. Within moments, phones were out and 911 calls were flooding in, reporting gunshots, fear, and confusion. The calm of Christmas was replaced with sirens, flashing lights, and the beginning of a night that would end in tragedy. What normally happens in your neighborhood late on Christmas night? Could you imagine it ending like this? Police units arrived almost immediately after receiving multiple emergency calls. Patrol cars entered the apartment grounds, lights cutting through the darkness, alerting residents that a serious incident was underway. Officers moved quickly to locate the source of the shots. In the street, they found 36-year-old Octavia Stewart, unresponsive and severely injured. Paramedics arrived moments later, assessing her condition and performing emergency procedures. Despite their efforts, she was pronounced dead at the scene. Officers secured the area, establishing a perimeter to prevent contamination of evidence and to protect residents from danger. Investigators began recording initial observations, noting where people were standing, the positions of vehicles, and any potential witnesses nearby. Every detail was essential to reconstructing the events that had unfolded so quickly and with such deadly consequences. Authorities confirmed the identity of the victim as Octavia Stewart, 36 years old, a long-term resident of the Sunny Lake Apartments. While neighbors were aware of her presence in the complex, Details about her personal life and daily routines were limited during the first hours of the investigation. Police documented her location at the time of the shooting and collected witness reports describing her movements in the moments prior. Statements from family and friends were obtained to verify basic facts about her life.
They never fully closed the wound. We still have a lot of information that we don't know what happened,
including her presence in the complex that evening. Each piece of information helped establish a clear identity and focus for the investigation. This identification allowed authorities to direct their efforts toward understanding the circumstances that led to her death, tracing back from the moment the gunshots were fired to the interactions that preceded them. Investigators discovered that the fatal shooting followed a dispute among neighbors that had begun earlier in the day. Residents reported hearing loud arguments and observing tension between parties within the complex. These verbal exchanges started inside individual apartments and later moved into shared spaces outside, where they became visible to other residents. The argument appeared to intensify gradually. Individuals involved interrupted one another, raising their voices and at times gesturing aggressively. Witnesses noted that what initially seemed like a minor disagreement gained momentum as more people became aware of the conflict. The shift from a private quarrel to a public confrontation was a key moment that set the stage for what would follow. Authorities began documenting the timeline, establishing who was present at each stage and how interactions escalated. This information would later form the backbone of the investigation into how the argument ultimately led to gunfire. After moving outdoors, the confrontation grew increasingly hostile. Observers described aggressive movements, gestures, and postures that indicated heightened tension. More residents began to take notice, standing nearby to watch the argument unfold. The critical turning point occurred when one individual accessed a firearm. The presence of a weapon transformed the dispute from a verbal conflict into a situation with immediate lethal risk. Officers later emphasized that this escalation, from words to a deadly threat, happened within moments, highlighting how quickly ordinary disagreements can spiral into violence when no intervention occurs. Witnesses noted that the parties involved continued to move around the complex, interacting in ways that drew attention and created uncertainty among bystanders. This mobility complicated the investigation, as authorities needed to establish precise positions and movements leading up to the shooting. Once the firearm was introduced, the situation escalated instantly. Multiple gunshots rang out in quick succession, startling residents and scattering bystanders. Witness accounts indicated that the shots came suddenly, leaving almost no time for anyone to react. Octavia Stewart was struck and immediately fell to the ground. Paramedics rushed to her side within minutes, performing life-saving interventions, but her injuries were fatal. Police quickly documented the area, taking note of the exact locations of individuals, vehicles, and other objects that could serve as evidence. Shell casings and other forensic materials were collected to support the investigation and confirm the sequence of events. The shooting itself lasted only moments, but it left irreversible consequences. By the time the scene was secured, officers had a preliminary understanding that this had resulted from a confrontation between residents, turning a routine neighborhood dispute into a homicide. Investigators focused on gathering every piece of information to reconstruct the final moments leading up to the shooting. Surveillance cameras in the complex and nearby properties were reviewed for visual evidence. Footage captured portions of the argument, the movements of those involved, and the moments immediately preceding the gunfire. Physical evidence was also meticulously collected. Shell casings, footprints, and other trace materials were cataloged. Each item was examined for its relevance in establishing the timeline and identifying individuals present at critical moments. The combination of video and forensic data became essential in piecing together an accurate sequence of events. Authorities emphasized that even small details could prove crucial. Objects, movements, and interactions that might have seemed insignificant at the time were now being analyzed for their contribution to the escalation and the shooting itself. Immediately following the shooting, law enforcement implemented a full-scale investigation. Witnesses were separated and questioned individually to prevent cross-influence and ensure clarity in statements. Officers compared witness accounts to surveillance footage to determine accuracy and consistency. Investigators also assessed whether the incident involved self-defense, criminal intent, or other factors. Evidence collected from the scene, including forensic materials and recorded statements, formed the basis of a detailed case file. The goal was to identify responsibility and understand exactly how a neighborhood dispute escalated into a deadly encounter on a holiday night. Officials reassured the public that there was no ongoing threat. However, the investigation remained active, with detectives continuing to collect information and verify every detail to ensure complete and accurate count of events. Residents of the complex reacted with concern and apprehension following the incident. Some provided statements to investigators, offering insight into the dispute and the dynamics between neighbors. Others observed from a distance, trying to understand what had happened and how quickly it had escalated. Authorities documented these observations as part of the investigation, noting both the information provided and the overall impact on community safety perceptions. The presence of witnesses and their willingness to cooperate proved crucial in reconstructing the argument and identifying all parties involved. Neighborhoods that experience violence often see shifts in behavior after such incidents. Residents may become more cautious, limit outdoor activity, and reassess interactions with neighbors. Law enforcement emphasized that cooperation with authorities helps prevent similar events and supports the broader effort to maintain safety in shared living spaces. As investigators collected evidence, law enforcement began reviewing potential legal implications. Officers sought to identify everyone involved in the confrontation, including those who may have instigated or contributed to the escalation. Detectives focused on determining whether the use of the firearm could be justified under self-defense or whether criminal charges would apply. The case was examined for prior interactions between the parties, looking at history that might have influenced the altercation. Authorities emphasized that conclusions would only be drawn once every piece of evidence was verified. The goal was to ensure any legal action was supported by facts rather than assumptions, providing a foundation for potential prosecution or defense strategies. Investigators meticulously reconstructed the sequence of events leading up to the shooting. This included tracking the initial verbal argument, its movement from indoors to outdoor common areas, and the escalation to the moment a firearm was drawn. Every witness statement was cross-referenced with surveillance footage to establish the positions and actions of individuals at critical times. Precise timing of the argument, physical movements, and gunfire allowed authorities to create a comprehensive timeline. The reconstruction was essential for understanding how interactions developed into violence and for clarifying responsibilities of all involved parties. This step also highlighted moments where intervention might have prevented the incident. Could small actions or timely interventions have changed the outcome that night? Despite substantial evidence, several questions remained unresolved. Investigators sought clarity on what specifically triggered the escalation of gunfire, whether the situation could have been de-escalated, and if prior tensions had predicted the outcome. Law enforcement continued analyzing witness statements for inconsistencies and additional details. They also reviewed surveillance footage repeatedly to catch overlooked interactions or gestures that could provide context. Each unanswered question guided the next stage of investigation, ensuring that no aspect of the incident was ignored. How often do deadly incidents have warning signs that are overlooked in the moment? At this stage, police confirmed that all individuals present during the incident had been located and questioned. Evidence continued to be reviewed, including forensic materials, witness statements, and video recordings. Investigators maintained that the case remained active and ongoing, emphasizing the importance of completing the review before determining accountability. Authorities also sought additional information from the public, asking anyone with knowledge of interactions at night to come forward. The active investigation underscored the need for thorough documentation and cross-verification, ensuring that all aspects of the dispute and shooting were examined carefully before legal action or conclusions were reached. Following the shooting, authorities maintained a comprehensive review of all evidence collected. Officers confirmed that every individual present during the incident had been located and interviewed. Surveillance footage was re-examined to cross-reference witness accounts, and forensic materials were analyzed to establish precise sequences of movement and interactions. Law enforcement emphasized that the case remained active. Investigators stated that conclusions could not be drawn prematurely, noting the importance of evaluating all collected data before any legal actions were initiated. Residents were urged to provide any additional information that could help clarify moments leading up to the shooting. This stage of the investigation reinforced the methodical nature of law enforcement procedures. Each piece of evidence, physical, visual, or testimonial, was critical in building a complete and accurate account of the events that unfolded on Christmas night. The sequence of events from the initial argument to the fatal shooting illustrates how rapidly conflicts can escalate when tension is left unchecked. The dispute moved from minor disagreements to verbal confrontation, and ultimately to a deadly encounter when a firearm was introduced. Authorities noted that every detail collected, witness statements, surveillance footage, forensic evidence, contributed to reconstructing the night's events. While the case remains under investigation, the facts established highlight the speed and unpredictability of escalation in residential conflicts. The incident underscores broader questions about the role of neighbors and communities in preventing violent outcomes. Observers are left considering the responsibility of individuals to intervene safely, recognize warning signs, and seek conflict resolution before disagreements spiral out of control. What responsibility do neighbors and communities have in preventing conflicts from turning deadly? The case of Octavia Stewart serves as a cautionary reminder that seemingly routine disagreements can quickly become fatal when unresolved. Even brief confrontations can escalate if warning signs are ignored or if emotions override judgment. As the investigation continues, authorities are focused on verifying facts, establishing accountability, and ensuring that all relevant details are considered. The story invites viewers to reflect on their own communities and personal interactions. How prepared are individuals to recognize and de-escalate conflicts? How much responsibility do neighbors share in creating safer environments? These questions aim to provoke reflection and engagement, encouraging viewers to consider the human and systemic factors that contribute to tragedies like this. Awareness and proactive intervention can make the difference between a routine dispute and a fatal encounter. If this story has kept your attention, do not forget to like this video and share it with others. For more true crime stories that uncover the mysteries behind tragic events, subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell to stay updated with our latest investigations, reports, and discussions. Thank you for joining us in this pursuit of truth and justice. Together, we can shed light where darkness remains. Until next time, stay safe and stay vigilant.